He was accused of killing his people, but to some people, he was a messiah. To his critics, he was supposed to be a thief of his people's wealth. But to some, he had spent billions to develop Libya's unique underground water system, which was a blessing to Libyans. His satellite system took Africa out of the EU's hands. It was reported Africans had been on a leased satellite system at a cost of $500 million a year. We heard stories he built roads, hospitals, factories in the poorer African countries. He offered his people free university schooling and free healthcare. His fans believed his biggest crime was that the troubled Western world saw his billions of barrels in oil resources as a way out of the global recession. And this is what cost Libya its place as the richest country in Africa. Libya holds billions of dollars in assets in Africa through subsidiaries of its $70 billion sovereign wealth fund. Welcome to this special program we call Mu'ammur Gaddafi, an African hero or villain. We've got in the London studios Mohammed Hawass, an Arab revolutionaire and Egyptian presidential aspirant. Also here is Azeldin El-Sharif of the British Libyan Solidarity Campaign. And joining us later by Skype from the University of Leicester here in the UK is a Libyan academic researcher, Mokhtar Elareshi. And also joining us on the line from Mississippi, USA is historian, American policies expert, Kenneth Jones. He was a 2009 to 2010 Fulbright scholar to the United Kingdom and a Congolese activist who knew Gaddafi personally, Princess Yav Marilyn. Gentlemen, welcome on board.
Hello, sir. Nice to meet you.
Okay, but before we join Princess Yav in Brussels, let me just quickly take this quote from Gaddafi. I am an international leader, the dean of the Arab rulers, the king of kings of Africa, and the imam, that is leader of Muslims, and my international status does not allow me to descend to a lower level. Well, we've got perceptions of a dictator, but at the tender age of 27, Gaddafi took over power from King Idris. That's 1st of September 1969 to 2nd of March 1977. He was chairman of the Revolutionary Command Council of Libya. And from that day till his death on the 23rd of August, he had no official title, but presided over Libya as a figurehead of state. And until his death, he was able, according to people who were close to him, to maintain a debt-free Libya and ensure Libyans had the highest standard of living on the continent. So we are asking, whose fault is it that Gaddafi turned out to be a dictator, or what do you think he is? Is he a hero? For President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, Mu'ammur Gaddafi, whatever his faults, is a true nationalist. I prefer nationalists to puppets of foreign interests. That's President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda in 2011. Okay, let's quickly get to Brussels, and we'll be talking to Princess Yav. Princess, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah, you knew Gaddafi personally, and a lot of people saw him as a messiah, while some saw him as a dictator. Can you give us your personal opinion?
Yes, Muammar Gaddafi was a great man, an African, and he has a good African leader. But the problem often in this kind of situation is the entourage is very, very dangerous and very, very bad, because he loves Africa, he loves his country, and he proves that because he a lot of.
Sorry, Princess. We don't really have the luxury of time because we've got about 4 people from around the world trying to connect on the show.
I just want to come back to her, please.
Yeah, I've got Azeldin here, yes. Actually of the British Libyan Solidarity Campaign. Azeldin would, I'm sure, would want to disagree with Princess.
What Gaddafi did to his own people, you praise him as he loves his country and he loves Africa.
Yeah.
I tell you this, Gaddafi, he just used the Africans. He used the naivety of the African people. Gaddafi used the Libyan wealth to buy the African leaders. He bribed many of the African leaders. And
Welcome to
Gaddafi's
Telephone.
crimes in Africa is very well known. So, and not just for his own people. How can the Libyans love a person and he's called Messiah? What Messiah does it mean?
Okay, Azeldin, can I cut you off there and let me ask Princess, what do you think about that? Because Azeldin is really concerned about that. Hello, Princess? Yeah, I think we lost Princess, but we could have the Mokhtar Elareshi from the University of Leicester. Mokhtar, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Mokhtar, actually we've been talking about some of the things Gaddafi had done in terms of the good things and also what some people felt were his appalling human rights record. Can you just give us a summary of who you think the man Gaddafi was?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me for this program, but I would like just to state before I start in this talk that I'm not really support of Gaddafi, and I'm not really fond of Gaddafi, but what this man had done to this country, I do some agree with your guest Azeldin said, but the reality, for example, what he showed even in the UN or community, or when he visited some countries like Italy, what he done, I think no one could do it even forever. Do you agree with me? For example, when he went to the US community in 2009 and they said what has been done by the UN community was not justice. So why no one think about it? Was that true or not?
Yeah, I want you to have a reply to that.
What the UN did, that's what you say, is it that they made a mistake? It wasn't justice, is that what you think?
Yeah, it was justice, yeah. Yeah, 63 cases required to be investigated for a crime for human rights. Was that right?
Do you, all right, then you don't have wide eyes to see what Gaddafi has done to his own people. Who started the killing? Who started the killing? When did we ask for the United Nations intervention? When the Libyan did? When Gaddafi started opening the automatic machine guns facing protesters on the street? Gaddafi forces killed hundreds of the Libyans who protested peacefully on the street, calling for a reform.
Azeldin.
Mokhtar.
I might speak to Azeldin.
Azeldin is listening to you. Yeah, go on.
Azeldin, I do agree. Yeah, with when the first day in 17th of February 2011, when process or the demonstration started completely in peace. I do totally agree with you. I have no doubt about this. But could you confirm about the shot being started? Do you think is Gaddafi who did?
Can you reply to that? You said can you confirm that it was Gaddafi that ordered the killings?
Of course. Oh my goodness. You don't see anything. Are you out of the earth? You didn't hear about what Gaddafi was saying, and Saif threatening the Libyans that they are going to destroy everybody.
They go to Zanga Zanga,
I know.
and they'll get them.
You've forgotten Zanga Zanga, Dar Dar.
Mokhtar, what do you...
Brick.
Yeah, Mokhtar, actually what he was trying to say is like it was all over the TV, the press generally, not just the Western media, that like the Gaddafi statements. What do you think?
Yeah, no, but in the same day, I think even Saif al-Islam said we can, if the Libyan people would like to change even the flag or the name of the country, we don't mind, and I think this been recorded.
Okay.
Was that right?
Yeah, Mokhtar, I want to ask a question. Do you think Gaddafi? Do you think Gaddafi should not have been removed from power, whether forcefully or peacefully?
Yeah, peacefully. Yeah, should be removed by the Libyan,
Okay.
not by the Western.
I think you
And
are absolutely.
I can tell you. I can tell you.
I think you are
I can tell
out
you.
of the reality.
I can tell you.
Because listen to me, listen to me,
Yeah.
I can tell you.
listen to me. Give me 1 second just to respond to you, yeah?
Sure.
The Libyan people have the say that they said, no, we don't want you Gaddafi anymore. Gaddafi, when they protested, Gaddafi opened fire on them. You know what does it mean? Yeah? Gaddafi said that I would return Libya to the 1969 population, 2 millions.
Azeldin.
Yeah, that's the thing. He has something to tell you. Yeah, Mokhtar, go ahead.
Yeah. It has been proved that even when the demonstration started in Tunisia, the special force, Western force, been found and would have special even guns just to start the blood. That when the demonstration started, even if in peaceful or what exactly happened in Libya, but if someone killed, the whole scenario will be changed, and that's really what happened in Libya. But we know in Libya that the only one who has the right to hand the gun is the authority who beyond the government. But
Okay.
if you someone like who was between the people and kill someone and pretend that was from Gaddafi, that's totally the story will be accepted.
Okay,
Do you agree?
Mokhtar, thank you. Mokhtar, let me just, let's hold on there. Mohammed also wants to talk. Mohammed, as an Egyptian, let's look at the Arab Revolution generally. What's the solution to checking all these things? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Then
Yeah.
I'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Brother Mukhtar, Assalamu alaikum and Eid Mubarak to you, and happy to Libya to be free. When you talk about human rights, you are right to talk about human rights. But did Gaddafi apply the human rights for the 42 years?
I don't
Even
think so.
though, remember, the people of Misrata, the people catch him, these families has lost a lot. They have seen rapes. The city is being destroyed beyond belief because they said we want to be free. My dear friend, the revolution has arrived, and thank God we are here, and we stop fearing. We are here to build our nation by ourselves, by nobody's help.
All
Western
right.
world help for their own good. They
Mohammed.
help because Gaddafi allowed them to help. When Gaddafi used the airplane, he used the machine guns, he used the heavy alternative to kill his own people. That was one of the game, like Saddam Hussein allowed George Bush to come to destroy Iraq, and Gaddafi allowed the West to destroy Libya. They give a bill to Iraq with billions and billions of dollars, and they killed millions, and they scattered around the world over 3 millions, and see what happened to Libya. Exact the same. The tyrant in the Middle East, they are copyrights,
Mohammed.
and they don't
Mohammed.
listen,
Yeah.
they don't hear, they are deaf.
Now, Mohammed, I would like to quickly bring in. I hope we'll be able to have Kenneth from Mississippi. He's an American policies expert to talk to us about the involvement of America in Libya. How because I remember you were saying something about American involvement and
Sure.
creating. So while we're waiting for Kenneth could come in later. But I want you to talk about the American involvement in Libya.
American involvement in Libya, it becomes smart. Because they know how much the world in the Middle East especially hate the face of ugly America. America came to Libya, to Iraq, to free Iraqi people from disaster. They make $1 trillion disaster, and they have lost over $1 trillion over it, and they will lose more, and they will go deep down beyond belief. because they put themselves in the nest of the wasp.
Okay,
And they will be
I think
beaten by that.
we've got Kenneth on the line. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello, Kenneth.
Hi, Akintayo. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Kenneth, actually, we've got Mohammed here. He's been talking about, we've been talking about the American involvement in Libya. Looking at foreign policies and the way a lot of people perceive America as creating these dictators, what's your take on that?
Well, first, just let me say I am having a little bit of trouble hearing some people on your end. So if I interrupt anybody, I want to apologize in advance.
It's okay.
I think part of what, from what I have heard, that seems to be getting lost here, is that aside from a few allies like Britain and Poland, American action in Iraq was very unilateral. It was a decision made by President George W. Bush and the American government. With the intervention in Libya, it seems to me that it was a much more international effort. You had the Arab League actually approaching NATO, asking for assistance in getting rid of Mu'ammur Gaddafi. After 42 years, it just seemed like the time had come for Gaddafi to just, I'm not necessarily saying being removed from power or through violence, but it was time for someone else to step in as leader of Libya.
You said the Arab League invited NATO, but what do you expect them to have done if they didn't allow the NATO to come in?
I'm sorry, was that for me?
Could it be that you're trying to exonerate America from the NATO bombing?
Am I trying to sort of remove American influence?
Exactly.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
No. I would think that I consider myself to be pretty honest when it comes to America's involvement in international circles and what America gets right and what it gets wrong. But I think what's being lost here is that in terms of intervention by Libya, America was invited by, this was a group effort. And the question then becomes, why has to turn it around for just a moment if I could, the question becomes, everyone wants to debate why America's now in Libya. Well, the question is, why has the Arab League or other international groups not approached NATO or the United States and said, hey, Syria is getting quite bloody. Bahrain has they've had their own, sort of bloody aspect to this Arab Spring. So it seems to me, and I am not in any way an apologist for the United States of America or its foreign policy, but it seems to me that in this case, America and its allies were invited in and is now catching a lot of flack for actually accepting that invitation.
Okay, thank you, Kenneth. I want Azeldin to talk about the NATO involvement.
Well, I agree with his comments. I would add to this that we have campaigned and calling for protection for the Libyan people, and this is as a response also to Mukhtar, because we were campaigning since 2005 here, and the Libyans and the Libyan opposition groups, they were campaigning, calling for Gaddafi to not even step down, but to change and reform Libya. We wanted a constitution, we wanted a peaceful transfer of power, but Gaddafi refused all that, and he is the longest ruling dictator in the world after Castro. And we have seen how he mistreated his own people, the abuse of the wealth of Libya, the abuse of the human rights of the Libyan people. I can count on many Libyans, start from Fath al-Jahmi, Mansour al-Kikhya, and others, many others, 1,200 Libyan political activists who killed in Abu Slim prison. All the crimes that Gaddafi did to his own people and the international community.
Well, that's the thing. I know that he has an appalling, according to reports we've got, he has an appalling human rights record. But how about all those good things they say about him, about Libya being one of the best countries in the world?
This is absolutely the biggest lie. And Libya, you know, before the 17th of February revolution, many Africans and Europeans can give you huge account about the Gaddafi's oppression to his own people and the, as you mentioned, Libya on the Stone Age, and he is using the wealth to build infrastructure to other countries in Africa and making investments in Europe and making, you know, giving his money or putting the money of the Libyan people everywhere.
Sorry, I think we've got somebody on the line. Hello? Hello?
Yes, so Gaddafi, we have experienced, the whole world has experienced this. That was before 17th of February revolution.
Okay.
We have called for the uprising in Libya. We have campaigned here, and we pray for Abulazizi in Tunisia, and the Egyptian martyrs in Egypt who won the revolution against Mubarak. And the Libyans, why they wanted to get rid of Gaddafi? Why, if he is the son of Libya and the Messiah, you know what Gaddafi did? He called for his own security army to wipe Benghazi, to kill all his own people. And not just this, he said, I'm going to fight the Libyans with an army from Africa. He is an international leader. He's going to bring the mercenaries, and he did. He killed his own people by all means.
But I would like to also mention the fact that the NCC forces were accused of killing sub-Saharan Africans because they believed everybody was a mercenary.
Well, that's very, I would, you know, get to this maybe later, but I give you this account because it is a lie. It is a lie. And, you know, Libyans, we've got blacks, we've got black Arabs even, and Africans. And, you know, this is not the case. But I want to tell you this because we have to put it on a scale. When we see the blacks of Libya or of Africa, what do they do? What did they do? They have attacked families, raped women, killed young or old people.
So the rebels had
and
to
the
kill
reaction,
them.
yes. Why are we counting or blaming the people who reacted, and we don't count and you know, blame the people who acted and attacked?
But the question is, like, could it be that every black African or black Libyan you see on the streets should be held accountable for the attack from the mercenaries?
The Libyan revolutionaries, we've got black Sudanese. They were actually fighting Gaddafi's. Black Libyans, you know, from the east and the west, they were fighting Gaddafi. So, and this is my, as a witness, I've seen this. You know, the bakeries, the farmers, the shepherds. Some people, they said, we don't want to go. We lived here for a long time. We are not going to leave. Whatever happened to the Libyan people is happened to us. And they were there. Nothing happened to them. But you have to remember what Gaddafi did. The ships or the small boats which is filled by Africans sent to the sea. Was it by the Libyan revolutionaries or Gaddafi's?
Okay.
Gaddafi did that.
Let's go to Mohammed now. And Mohammed, they removed Gaddafi. NATO was involved in Libya. Why not Yemen and Syria?
Because we live by proxy. And the law does not apply until they like to. Remember, Gaddafi was a darling of the West. Berlusconi was kissing his hand. And remember one thing, if they want to get Gaddafi, they can get Gaddafi within X hours. Okay? And they know everything about him. The military mighty power, it was a show. I have this. I can do that. Will you buy from me? Because if you don't buy from me, my factory will close and I will be in a deep recession. Remember.
So you're trying to say that it's because of the wealth, or because of the benefits the West would get from Libya, that's why they had to intervene?
Absolutely. The wealth of Libya is already been divided. The cake is already been eaten. And they know what they're going for.
And that leads me to the question, does it mean that Gaddafi's death would not be a blessing to the people of Libya?
No, Gaddafi's death, it is a blessing for the people of the West. But they have forgotten one thing, that his son is still alive and he can talk. But he does not have as much knowledge as what his father used to cook with the Western world. Remember, Saddam Hussein was the darling of the Western America. Gaddafi was a darling of the Western America. But they must create a villain for us to be afraid of. Okay? They have a joke. When Ronald Reagan, he made the perestroika with Gorbachev, and he called the CIA and he said, now we told the world the Russian, they are the evil, but they are our friend now, our ally. He said, don't worry, Mr. President, we'll create a new one. Remember this, when they create a new one, it was a creation to bomb Gaddafi. Okay? And they know they don't want to kill him because he is a puppet of a wealth. If you don't do that, we'll do that to you, pay us. That's why he surrendered all what he has, he think he has for nuclear weapons, and it was all stupid tubes. He surrendered all the satellites which he built millions and millions of dollars to see the West from Libya. The man is ill, and I don't blame him. I blame who brought him in. Okay? Because you always go to the roots of the problem. As a medical sign, you always see where is the cells and you have to kill the cell. And how they make a research, what is this cell came from? This cell came from Nasser of Egypt. Nasser, who is the same as him, and they call him nationalist, hero, and I call him my father when I was young. But when I went to Russia and I see what he brought to Egypt, the communist regime copyrights, and he make us suffer, and he make us poor. Egypt is very wealthy. Egypt has over $32 trillion of wealth in the ground. By order of the Western America, do not touch it. Really, I'm telling you that, and to the world to know, we are living in a joke. And the joke, they make it on us. And they tell us, if you talk, we will do that to your father and mother, we'll rape your mother, we'll rape your daughter, we'll put you this, we'll make that. And that is the fear the people living in the West, in the Middle East for last 60 years.
Okay. Let me get back to Azeldin. With the way things are going now, from your postulation, do you think we should be bracing for another Somalia in Libya? Because with the way things are going, the death of Gaddafi has not taken away the problems in Libya, because I heard that Libya has been brewing with a lot of tension, regional problems, just like some regions don't like the other region. Do you think Libya is becoming another Somalia?
Well, I believe that Libya never been to peace like this time. And I would say Libya hasn't seen any democratic debate or discussion or argument like this time. The Libyan trucks drivers, now they are protesting against the government. They never did before. With my respect to my colleague's opinion, I would say that I believe now it is a very different picture from the West, from America, from Europe. They are, yes, they have an interest in Libya, but it is, they know that they are very countable, and we count on the Libyan people. We believe that the Libyan people who paid this huge amount of blood to free Libya, they are going to guard it, and also they will make sure that it is free and stable and far away from any hijackers.
But I'm not talking about the outside interference, but what I'm looking at is like the regional tension that had been in Libya over the years that Gaddafi had managed very well. Do you think it would not erupt now?
Absolutely. As I said to you, Libya now more peaceful than before. You know, there are crimes committed from a lot of Libyans. You know, we've got Tawarga place who committed crimes under Gaddafi against Misrata people. And now there are efforts to solve the problem and for reconciliation. The Libyan people are not after the blood and the killing and the fight. They are not after a conflict. What they did, they came together to get rid of Gaddafi, who tried to wipe the country, create conflicts. And, you know, after all that, there is a very huge amount of work from the from the revolutionaries, from the tribe leaders or tribes leaders, from the government, which is the NTC. They are working on a conciliation where they will bring everybody together and create peace, because all the Libyan people, if you ask them, they want stability in the country. They want democracy. They want freedom. All the blood, they say, we forgive everybody for the freedom of Libya. All the blood they gave for the peace of Libya. So I guarantee you that the future of Libya will be for the Libyans, and for the neighbors, and for the whole continent of Africa, and for the whole world as well. But we really monitor, you know, from here and from Libya, we are really monitoring any under the table deals.
Let me just quickly get back to Mohammed as an Egyptian presidential aspirant. Let's look at the future of Africa as a whole. What do you think, what do you see happening in Africa with the exit of Gaddafi, who was trying to bring a United States of Africa, though he called for the division of Nigeria a few months ago. Well, what do you think? How do you see the African continent moving ahead without Gaddafi?
Africa will move faster in a positive way after Gaddafi. A lot of revolution will stand by to see what is going on, and that delay the revolution of the nations of the Middle East. I believe the future for Africa and Middle East should be united, should be one unity, and we are going to be the biggest in the world, biggest than China. If you put the 400 million plus 750 million of Africa as one unit, we have all the wealth, we have all the resources, we have the water, and we have the manpower, what we need to invest in a human.
Sorry, Mohammed, I think we've got somebody on the line. Is it Kenneth?
Kenneth. Hi.
Kenneth. You want to say? Yeah, Kenneth. Yeah, we're talking about the post Gaddafi Libya. Actually, I was discussing Mohammed about that. From the American perspective, what do you see could be the future relationship between Libya and America and the Western world generally?
Well, I think that depends a great deal on the post-Gaddafi Libyan government. I will say, I'll admit forthright that American foreign policy has a not completely undeserved reputation for seeing international relations as a with us or against us sort of mentality. The idea that some countries can have different ideas and different goals than America, but still be our friend and ally, I think is hard for some people to grasp. I'll say that. So, you know, if we end up seeing some sort of, you know, it's sort of Sharia law, Islamic-based sort of system of governments, that could be a problem. If we see something, a very democratic parliamentarian system, then, you know, that could be a strong ally for the United States in the West and in the Middle East. I will say that I don't know that I am, that I can actually answer to that. But if I may, I wanted to take it back for a second. I'm afraid I was cut off for a moment before I had the opportunity to say this. But I heard one of your other speakers talking about the West needing an enemy, needing a villain, and that Gaddafi fit that role. And so the West came in, deposed Gaddafi, and they're just after Libya's riches. Did I hear that correctly? Did I misunderstand that?
Yes, Kenneth, you heard that correctly, and even the MI6 and MI5 has said in the news that they used to give the news to Gaddafi until the 17th of February, telling him who say what, who leave where, to send the people, gunmen, to shoot them.
So, Kenneth, what do you say about that?
It's not my saying so. This is MI5 and MI6.
What I would say is, if America and the West needed a villain, then Gaddafi made it incredibly easy for them, for us to cast him in that role. I
didn't say America
I could go through the list of things that Mu'ammur Gaddafi is guilty of, whether it's expelling 30,000 Palestinians from Libya because the Palestinian Liberation Organization was engaging in peace talks, whether it was his support of Idi Amin, whether it was the destruction of UTA Flight 772 or Pan Am Flight 103. You know, Gaddafi himself actually apologized for and agreed to pay reparations for backing the IRA during their terror campaign in Britain during the 1980s. So, you know, I'd like to look at this for just a moment as something broader than just Libya. And that's not to say that Libya and Libyans aren't important. They are. I get that. But from an international point of view, can we maybe just take a step back and think to ourselves, you know, forgetting for the moment sort of the machinations and the double dealing of international foreign policy, can we just step back for a second and say that Muammar Gaddafi was a very, very bad man with a great deal of blood on his hands?
Kenneth, before I went to Egypt for the revolution, I wrote to Mr. President Obama, and I told him, Mr. Obama, and I call him Mr. Obama, not President Obama, don't use the democracy by color, like orange color for Ukraine and white color for Georgia. Our revolution is not going to be by color. And Mr. Obama, I wish that you do not listen to the people around you. You listen to yourself, to your own conscience. Don't stand on the fence. Be decisive, because we are going there and we are not going to return back without our freedom. And we are prepared to lose ourselves forever, because we had enough. Believe it or not, everybody talking about Libya and this. I congratulate the Libyan people, and I am happy for the Libyan people, and the Libyan people, they will be victor, and whatever is said about them, it is a media hype, and they try to milk it to the maximum, because they like to make news out of misery. But the people of Libya, it is the first time in the history of Libya, the people of Libya is one man, one voice, one smile, one saying Allahu Akbar, that we are free Libya.
May I just say, if I can intercede for just a moment. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I just want to say I don't think that you're being completely fair. If you look at the last 6-7 years of world history and international affairs, there was a real sort of rehabilitative effort going on for Libya. I mean, Gaddafi represented the African Union at the G8 summit in Italy in 2009, 2010, you know, where he shook President Obama's hand. You know, so I mean, this to suggest that we suddenly, we being the West or the United States or whatever monolithic we you want to suggest, to think that we suddenly got it in our heads to go into Libya for the riches, and now the idea of democracy and freedom for all is really just this cloak that we're hiding behind, I think is really rather ridiculous. Because I'd say that the Western world made serious efforts to reach some sort of compromise with Gaddafi in the last few years.
Kenneth?
Yes.
Yeah, if I could come in, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Could it be that the Western world was playing games with the lives of the people of the Arab world, especially by hobnobbing with the dictators from the Arab world because of the benefits?
I would say, Mu'ammur Gaddafi approached the West. He was the one who, after the invasion of Iraq, and look, I'll say here and now that I think that the invasion of Iraq was a mistake, and it was an unfounded and unnecessary invasion. But after Saddam Hussein was captured by American forces, Mu'ammur Gaddafi approached the West and said, look, I have a weapons of mass destruction program. I have been pursuing this. Yeah. I don't want to end up like Saddam Hussein, so I will set that aside now. I will pay reparations for all the terrorist activity that I had a hand in. I just don't want to be toppled. So, I appreciate your question, Akintayo, about whether the West was playing games. I can appreciate that question. I do not dismiss that question. But in this situation, I don't believe so, because if it was a game, it's one that Gaddafi himself started.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kenneth. I really appreciate that. But I want Azeldin to say something about that. Like, you heard what Kenneth said, that like it was Gaddafi himself that was trying to lay down a very good future for himself by getting closer to the Western world and hobnobbing with them.
Gaddafi set up the Gaddafi's Human Rights Foundation, and he gave his son Saif the power and the money to go and fix all the problems that Gaddafi left behind. Lockerbie bombing, the IRA, the French aeroplane, also in Africa, and ending by trying to finish or fix the Abu Slim massacre in 1969, the victims and the families of the victims, to solve that problem, with the problems which is created in Africa, in his support of Tyler, Chadi War, South Sudan, Darfur, all these problems, Gaddafi tried to wipe them or leave them behind.
But why didn't you forgive him? If he tried to right the wrongs of the past.
No, I'm sorry. He should be counted for his crimes, especially for the Libyan people. If the West, I would ask you about even Fletcher, the policewoman. Her family is still calling for the criminal who killed her. So there are, and also the IRA, they still asking for justice for their beloved or lost people. But we would say that yes, Gaddafi did that. But he never has the good intention. And we have seen the 17th of February has proved to the whole world that Gaddafi is inhuman, that Gaddafi is absolutely an animal, not human, absolutely.
But if I could ask Mohammed,
I want to ask a question. Why human rights arise when you want to? Why human rights did not arise 42 years ago? Why human rights did not arise from what Nasser did to everybody in Egypt? Why the human rights did not rise with Assad's father, not this boy, when he did and killed, and his son doing exactly the same like his father, because they allowed the father to do?
So what do you think is the reason why?
The reason, because they are putting 22 Mickey Mouse in 22 countries to rule us, and they said we are going home, but we put somebody from you to beat out of you because you deserve it. Because we don't want you to be good, we don't want you to be strong, we want you to be slaves.
Okay, so what's the solution to all this?
The solution is a nation. The nation call for freedom. and everybody take his hand off. And please, anybody talk about human rights, he should shut his mouth for good. Because where is the human rights when the Palestinian was killed? Where is the human rights when the people in Iraq was killed? Where is the human rights when the people in Libya killed? Where is the human rights in Algeria? Now, right now, what is Bouteflika doing to the Algerian? What is going on all over? I am talking to the nation. I am talking to each one of you. Please rise, and each dictator get him out, and get him out right now. Do not wait for United Nations, because they are a Mickey Mouse. The United Nations is a game.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mohammed. And as I've been on the last note, I would want to ask you about we still have remnants of Gaddafi all over the world, even in Libya, like Kusar and all of them. Even the people that are the leaders right now in Libya, some of them were working hand in hand with Gaddafi. What do you think would happen?
Well, the revolutionaries, or you can say the freedom fighters in Libya, they came back from the battles, and now they are really asking questions about how Libya is going to be. They are very careful. They care about the future of Libya. One of the comments from Kenneth from America, she talked about the Sharia law.
Sharia,
There is a very misconception between what is Sharia law and the kind of ruling. The Libyan people need a democratic way of how to elect the leaders. The right to oppose, and the right to elect off or elect
be elected,
to be elected. And also the freedom of press, the freedom of gathering. All these things will be the future, or the political future of Libya. This is the different. The Sharia law is the court ruling. It's not, because the people in Libya or in the Muslim world and outsiders, they mix between these things. At the Prophet's time, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was justice, social justice, freedom, and there is al-bay'ah, and the bay'ah means election, and it is open, means there is a system, a democratic system in choosing the leader.
So what you mean is that the Sharia law is just judicial, not just it's not
absolutely
about,
like when we see the British here, they have refused the Sharia law. We can't ask the Libyan people or impose the secular law, or I don't know if it is secular law, or the British law on the Libyan people, or the Libyan people on the British people. So this is very different. I mean, the court.
We're really running out of time,
so
but I just want in maybe in 10 seconds, what do you want to happen to the remnants of Gaddafi's forces and also people who worked with him in the past?
They are going to face justice. They will be counted, and if they are criminals, they will face punishment.
The solution for Libya: leave Libya alone. They will be perfect. Thank you very much.
Well,
don't apply
this is very important. This is because we are partners with the West.
That's what I want to say.
Absolutely, we would say, because it's very clear here, I appreciate and I come to his terms in a different way. Yes, that we are partners with the West. But be careful. We want them to be careful, because the Libyan people will not forgive any government try to create another puppet in Libya to create another dictator and oppressor. So we would say, you know, we are watching.
Oh, okay.
No, when I
Okay,
say
thank-
leave them alone, I'm talking about the media.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the West as a government. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
media, because the media playing the tune to fuel the life in Libya.
Okay. All right. Because like actually I was like concerned about that, because like the British government recently told contractors to get ready to go and reconstruct Libya, and
My friend, when you make a disaster, when you destroy,
yeah.
and when you have a recession, put the two together, equal what? Equal contract, equal money, equal prosperity for someone and for somebody else.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. So we don't have. We are really running out of time. I wish we could have more time, and I look forward to
Why
having
not?
you, having you back. On the-
Remember,
on
my
the-
dear friend, one thing and one thing only. When the nation asks for freedom, everybody should bow. And I give a message for every living leader so far. Please wake up. Don't hide like ostrich, because they will come and get you, because they ask for the freedom, and they test the freedom, and they see it happen, and they will copyright it, and all the Middle East and Africa will be free soon or later. And for Mr. Assad, run before they do what they did to Gaddafi. And exact the same to Ali Saleh. Please, run now.
Mohammed
Because you're doing
Hawass,
bad.
Egyptian presidential aspirant, also Azeldin El-Sharif from the British Libyan Solidarity Campaign. Thank you very much for coming on the show. And also not forgetting Mokhtar Elareshi from Leicester, Kenneth Jones, an American scholar from Mississippi, and also Princess Yav, Marilyn, who is a Congolese activist but knew Gaddafi so well to tell us a bit about him. Thank you very much to everybody for coming on the show, and we look forward to having you next time. Goodbye.